913, 5 miles from the final approach fixed. Turn right heading 350, maintain 2000 until it stops from localizer. Cleared ILS, runway 11 approach.
NASA 9013, roger. Here at our house, rocketry is all about trajectory. Today, what I'm gonna do is show you how to make a foam rocket, okay? And this rocket we're actually gonna use, it'll be propelled by some elastic force, okay, rather than propellant force, but it's gonna be with some elastic force, and we're gonna use it to actually predict or see what happens with our rocket when we stick it on different headings, okay? And I'll show you how to do that a little bit later. So the first thing you wanna do is, hopefully maybe you have a pool noodle laying around. You want to take and cut your pool noodle to be right at 30 centimeters, okay? I already went on ahead and cut a pool noodle to be able to show you guys that is at 30 centimeters. Now, with this, we can take, and on one end of it, I marked using a Sharpie. Here's where a Sharpie comes in handy, or honestly, you can use probably a marker color that's not the same as your pool noodle, but you can use and take and mark yourself 4 lines. So now to do this, what I did was I lined it up to make sure I went straight across, and I did 2 lines going across this way, so I made sure I went right through the center of my pool noodle. Then I took it, and as best as I possibly could, I went to make a perpendicular, okay, a perpendicular line going across. So that way when you have them, you make 4 right angles, okay? Now, then I took and drew 4 12-centimeter lines going straight down the side of my pool noodle, and then with a scissor or straight edge, so we do end up having a lot of straight edges around this house. So using a straight edge, I took and carefully cut down all the way to the end. Now this could be something that an older sibling or a family member helps you with, but I took and cut all 4 sides down like this, okay? So eventually this is gonna be where your wingtips fit in. Okay, so to make the top part so that you have your elastic force, okay, you're going to take a rubber band. Now I happen to only have 1 rubber band around our house. So what happened with this is, since I only have 1, I'm gonna kind of talk you through this step to see how you would get it hooked onto this part, okay? Now, in order to get it to tape down, what you're gonna do is take duct tape and measure out and cut a 12-centimeter piece of duct tape, all right? Well, actually, I think it's 10 centimeters. This one's 10 centimeters. You're gonna take and cut it in 2. And in cutting it in 2, like I have here, you can work on reattaching. So this will be much stronger in that way because it's doubled. And what you're gonna do is place, actually, you're gonna loop this through your rubber band, just like so. And you're gonna take it, and on the opposite end, so you have this end that you cut, on the opposite end, this is gonna get squished down into your piece right here, okay? Now, of course, I'm not gonna leave it like this because then I'll just have 2 rockets hooked together. All right, so what you do here is once you have it down with additional tape, you're gonna take and tape across the top to secure it. Now, this piece here, you want to make it go pretty long on both ends of your rocket. And part of the reason for that, it has more surface area that it can hold on to. And that is going to allow you the opportunity to really be able to pull back on this side right here, okay, without too much worry that it's going to pop off. So more so, my rubber band will probably break before the tape comes off of this. So once you have it down on either side, then you take another piece of tape and wrap it around and secure it around the top. And you'll see here, it shows you pretty good detailed instructions. I'm gonna say pretty good, they're very good. All right, and you can go through and do it step by step this way. So it's just little tips. Now, me personally, once I started putting some purple duct tape on the top and around, and then I just started kind of going with it and continue to gussy up my rocket just a little bit more. Okay, now we're ready to make the fins. So in making the fins, what I did was took a shipping box that we recently had shipped out to our house, and I created 2 trapezoids. Now you want to make sure that your trapezoids are at least the same shape, okay? So with my first trapezoid, I went through, you definitely want to have, this will be more of an equilateral trapezoid. Now what I mean by equilateral trapezoid is what you have here at the top, okay? So whatever your measure is here at the top, so my measure here was, or is, 5 centimeters across the top. So then I'm guaranteed that this is going to be roughly about 10 centimeters down at the bottom. All right, so that way it is equal in that part. All right, it's just the doubling of that one. So I cut it out first, and then to be quite honest, I took my first one to see, does it have this shape? Is this the shape that I wanted it? Now I'll tell you with these, they kind of stuck out a little bit first, so I had to take and trim it up to where I had it about equal on both sides. Then if you take this one, lay it back down, trace around it, so you get as close to it as possible, and then you could cut it out so that you have 2 trapezoids to work with, okay? Now in order to get your trapezoids to connect to make your fins, you're going to, in the center, right? So since I made this 10 centimeters across the bottom, I'm guaranteed that this will be at the 5 centimeter line. So then I could take and cut to roughly about halfway up. All right, now you can use scissors to be able to do this. I recommend, still you have to be very careful because depending on how strong your cardboard is and stuff like that, how sharp your scissors are. This is a conversation to have with your family of what they feel comfortable with. To be quite honest, that's where I typically end up using the straight edge. Now, if you are going to be using something like a straight edge, make sure you have extra pieces of that box that you're reusing underneath, so that as you are cutting around, you're not scoring, okay, which is cutting, you're not scoring up the table or surface underneath, which definitely nobody would like. All right. So with this one, you're going to cut up from the middle, and for the other one, you're going to cut down from the middle. So you go to the halfway point on your second one, and you cut down, and you can kind of see where it does like that. All right, so once you have these together, you'll take and piece and press them in. All right, and so now I have fins for our second rocket. Okay, now you see here that I decorated mine. Now I chose to decorate this after the fact, so I was doing a lot of precarious cutting and stuff like that. I don't recommend. So if you want to decorate it, and however you want to decorate it, probably the best thing to do is to pull these off and decorate prior to your full assembly. It'll be a lot easier, whether you're going to color it with markers or however you want to do it. So in order to install your fins, you'll take and pull out your pieces around and then push it into place. All right, so I've got it nice and fit and secure in there. And you see where these pieces lay out around the top. All right, so this might be a good sign to have somebody else's help, especially for smaller hands, but you can hold it like this while somebody else takes and tapes around the bottom piece. Now that'll secure your fins in place and keep the foam and stuff like that from further coming off, which you guys know that does happen, especially if this is a pool noodle that you've had outside that already has some weathering, some sun erosion and weathering to it anyway. Okay, so if you're doing it on your own, then my suggestion is already to cut yourself several pieces of duct tape and have them over to the side. So that way, as you're holding it, you can take, now I wouldn't place it, I would place it in the middle of one of these foam pieces and then tightly bring it around. All right, and at the end, it should look like this. So you see how I have it taped all the way around on this side. Okay, now I went a little bit further. I had, we have lots of duct tape in this house. All right, and so I happen to have some duct tape that I thought was pretty cool with some constellations on it. And so that's how I finished out the rest of my fuselage. Okay, so the way this is going to be powered is not from me throwing it. This does not now become an object of sibling torture. Okay, but you know, before and in other things, like when we do things like the moonlight craters, we're using gravitational force. Okay, so when I drop an item such as this marker, when I drop it, if I'm not adding anything else to it, when I release its potential energy, it falls at a rate of 9.8 meters per second. Okay, that's its gravitational potential energy. When I go to release this, it is going to be released according to the elastic potential energy that this rubber band is able to store. Okay, because this has elasticity to it, that means that when I release my foam rocket, it's going to want to go back into its original shape. So in order to do that, there's energy required in that, and that energy will be then transferred to your foam rocket and you'll be able to go further. Now, this isn't like when we did the bubble rockets, right, where gas is what propelled it up. But it's going to be working on the same principle to come back down. So the minute I release it, okay, depending on what angle I release it at, okay, is going to send it in a particular direction. All right, so make sure though that when you eventually let this go, any animals or pets, siblings, are not in the flight path of your foam rocket. So when you go to let it go, you are going to let it go from this back side here. Now, if you have a meter stick at home, that is an excellent thing to be able to hook this to the end of and pull it back. I happen to not have a meter stick at home, but I do have a handy dandy mop. Okay, so I'm going to use my mop in the same way, and you'll see in a second when I go outside to release. This is not something I'm going to be doing in the house. And when I go outside to release it, you'll be able to see how we can change the trajectory. All right, let's go fly a kite. And into the backyard it goes.